Welcome to No More Desire, where we build a mindset and lifestyle for lasting recovery from porn. My name's Jake Castleman, and I'm excited to dive in with you. Let's get started, my friend. Sometimes we're like a fish swimming in water that we don't even know we're experiencing such a shallowness or an inability to really feel close.
You sit and you start to peel back the onion. How often did your mom or your dad tell you they loved you? What was it like around the kitchen table? What was the conversation at night when you were sitting around? What was it like if you brought a problem home? And I didn't talk to anybody about it. I just kept it to myself. Why? I don't know why. Well, we're going to find out why. The large majority of those homes, those parents are not bad people.
Right.
They're good people. But this inability to love fully is generational.
Do you have a hard time relating emotionally? Do you know how to relate to pain in a way that helps your wife, kids, or friends feel seen and understood? Do you know how to express your own painful emotions with calm, courage, and connection? If you don't, you're not alone, my friend. A lot of us men feel inadequate when it comes to these things. Why do some of us struggle to feel loved and connected, to love and connect, or to feel any emotion for that matter? Pornography addiction plays a key role in this, but many of us also haven't received the training, the upbringing that we need to emotionally connect on a deeper level. But these are skills that we can build. Today's conversation with Dr. Eddie Capparucci brings answers to these questions and the solutions you need to build emotional intelligence that fuels closeness in your relationships and stability in your recovery from porn. Many of us men feel unable to express ourselves, unable to talk about hard emotions without getting defensive, over-explaining or shutting down. I know this because I was the same way. And we don't know why we so often have conversations that escalate into conflict, ending with an upset spouse, hard feelings, and days of distance. Because of this, many of us simply avoid these conversations, like I did, building simmering resentment instead of communicating, which fuels further addiction cravings. Your spouse wonders why you don't see her, how could you be so hurtful, how come you're so focused on yourself, and why can't you value her pain and be there for her? You just don't know how to say the right thing, show up for her in the way that she needs. That's how it constantly feels. Today, my guest, Dr. Capparucci, who's the author of Why Men Struggle to Love, teaches us how to overcome relational blind spots through the conversation that he and I have. We talk about being emotionally engaged, getting curious about our spouse's pain, and building true intimacy. Dr. Capparucci is a licensed professional counselor certified in treating problematic sexual behaviors, creator of the Inner Child Model for Treating Addictive Behaviors, and author of 6 books. He is also on the board of Christian Sex Addiction Specialists International. Today, we're going to talk about how to step out of these old patterns that you've been in, understand and work through emotion, yours and hers, and overcome relational blind spots so you can start emotionally engaging and empathizing. Put simply, we discuss how to love deeply. Before we dive in, a reminder to follow and rate this podcast so that others looking for help can find it, and a reminder to hit that notification button so that you can keep finding it. All right, let's get started. Eddie, it's such a pleasure and a joy to have you on the show, man. Welcome.
Jake, thank you for having me. I've been excited. I know we've been trying to plan this for a while, and a lot of stuff on my end didn't allow it to happen, but I'm glad to finally be here, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I know we put it like 3 weeks out to schedule with both of our calendars, and then we put it another 4 weeks out because you had something very difficult going on in your life at that time, a loss that you suffered. And
yeah, it's one of my dogs.
I know, man. That grief. I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah.
So sorry. So on the other side of that, we've made this episode happen. Today, we are talking about, speaking of love and grief, we're talking about why men struggle to love. You have a book called Why Men Struggle to Love.
Yes, I do.
Fantastic that you know about this, that you're an expert on this topic, because when it comes to addiction and recovery, our ability to love, our ability to connect is absolutely central to that. Maybe we could start there in what you understand, Eddie, about love, connection, and how these play an integral role in the development of addiction, sex addiction, porn addiction, and
Yeah,
other addictions.
absolutely. And as you say, it is central, as you said, and it's critical for us to be able to do this. The problem is we don't know how. As I put in the book numerous times, there are men who are oblivious to understanding what does it mean to really love. So go back to your question, where does that all, where does it start to unwind? And it starts to unwind in our childhood. Sometimes as early as, our birth, because you learn to love when a mother and a father start to bond with a child. When we start to create that connection that is so vital to us, the production of oxytocin, the neurochemical hormone that comes into the body, that I call it the guru gaga hormone. Okay. It is the love hormone. That's how some people refer to it. And when that connection isn't formed, when it is brief in some kind, or it's broken, or is not fully created, what that does, that limits the way that we connect with other people moving forward. Now, there are many other factors that are all involved in this, which we'll go through and share, but just so, to start the whole process, it is about the lack of an attachment, a secure attachment. That's what's really happening.
Hmm. And I like that you talked about a brief, broken, or not fully created attachment, right? When it comes to oxytocin release, human bonding, these relationships that we form. I think it's crucial to understand for a lot of guys that I've worked with, and myself included, we can look back on our lives and the ways we were raised and, our siblings and things and think, I mean, for some, this is not the case, but for some of us, we say, I don't think it was that bad, or, things were pretty good. And I don't think, I think my childhood was pretty good. But when there is a real lack of connection, a lack of emotional depth in the family or the relationships that we have, sometimes we're like a fish swimming in water that we don't even know we're experiencing such a shallowness or an inability to really feel close to the
Yeah.
people.
And that's what you go to get what you just said. We don't really know. I go back to the word oblivious. It's
Right.
okay. I don't know. Yeah, my childhood, mom cooked an amazing meal, kept the house clean. Dad went and worked, and he went out and played catch with me every once in a while. I fought with my brothers and sisters like everybody else does. No, it was good. And then you sit and you start to peel back the onion
Mm,
when you ask questions like, so, how often did your mom or your dad tell you they loved you? Love me? Yeah. How long did they say that? What kind of touch did they give you? Holding. I don't think there was a lot of that going on. No. What was it like around the kitchen table? Oh, we ate on TV trays and watched television while we were doing that. What was the conversation at night when you were sitting around? No, everybody went to like their own rooms. What was like if you brought a problem home and you had a problem and and I didn't talk to anybody about it. I just kept it to myself. Why? I don't know why. Oh, well, we're going to find out why. And now we get to begin the whole process.
right. Yes.
Not, but
Yeah,
let's emphasize, Jake. It's really important to emphasize that the large majority of those homes, those parents are not bad people.
right.
They're good people.
Mhm.
But this inability to love fully is generational.
Mm.
Okay. So not only did your father and mother not know how to do it, but their father and mother didn't your great grandfather, great great grandfather. It just trickles all the way down.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think of my own parents, in the situations they grew up in, a lot of hard things that they went through, so, so difficult. And them giving me the very best that they had, right?
Right. Right.
But the examples that they had to grow up with, right? Again, their parents doing the best that they could as well. They they brought as much love as they could, but there were a lot of blind spots or feeling unable to show up in certain ways or ways that I really needed as a highly sensitive child, I think, which is pretty common, from what I've seen, at least the guys who come to me, maybe they resonate
Hmm.
with me. But feeling highly sensitive and that emotions are very, very intense. We're in this
Yes.
roller coaster, high highs and low lows. Do you see that quite a bit?
Oh, because what happens? No one's showing you how to regulate.
Mm.
We don't know how to regulate. So therefore, if you're people who are highly sensitive, if you're going to someone seeking validation, seeking to feel, accepted at that moment, to be understood, and you don't have the time, or worse yet, you pick up indirectly, I really don't care. You're either going to escalate more or you're going to crash. So therefore, again, and I have come to the understanding, belief, and this is kind of a different topic, but for me, emotional regulation is the cornerstone to recovery. It
Mhm.
is the cornerstone of recovery. I cannot emphasize it enough. I've been pushing it for 3 years. I am not the first. There's been other people. Michael Barta did a wonderful job in bringing this all to us. The Polyvagal people did a wonderful job. But you know what? Us folks in recovery, in the recovery world, and in the betrayal trauma world, we're not doing a good enough job. We're not. We need to be really, as soon as somebody comes in and we're working with them, one of the first things we have to work on is emotional regulation. One of the first things that have to happen.
And I
Because if
think
you, because if you can't emotionally regulate, guess what? All the wonderful things that Jake teaches you, you can't implement. I can't implement it.
right, exactly. Yes, and just like you, Eddie, I am also a big proponent of that. It's one of the things that I work on with guys the most because and there's all sorts of different frameworks we can use, and, I use the rail method. I also love, Jenna Miersma. She has notice, no need. Love that parts work approach. There's so many different ways that we can emotionally regulate, but it's true, I think, for a lot of us, we aren't taught how to do that. It's not modeled for us and how to work through painful emotions. In fact, we're taught, "Just don't feel that," or "Just think about something else," or "I don't really I have other things to do," or even if our parents aren't saying that, as you say, we implicitly get the message, "You don't have time for my
Right.
pain right now." So, when I don't have that relational connection, I have to go to some other kind of "connection," quote unquote, for that regulation, if you will, right?
Yes.
And addiction would be the route, right? Whatever route
Yeah.
that is.
What we're really looking for, to back up first, is like you said, we get our message directly or indirectly, right? And sometimes it's the indirect one that wind up scarring us the most because there's just assumptions that we made. And many times they're erroneous. The
Mm,
leading trauma expert will tell you that the worst part of trauma is not the event, it's the fact of you having to go through it by yourself.
mm,
So when we came to parents with issues and were told, no, not here, and all the different things you just mentioned, we had to go it alone.
mhm.
We're kids. We're adolescent. We're teen. We don't have a lot of worldly experiences. I don't I think more emotionally than I do rationally. So what am I gonna do? Well, I come up with one solution. And as I always say, it's an amazing solution. What a
Right?
wonderful solution we come up with. I won't think about it.
Mm.
I won't think about it. And how do you go about not thinking about it? You distract yourself. Too much television, too much food, too much sugar, too much fantasy, not sexual fantasy, fantasy. You get a
Mhm.
younger guy like you, too much video game, too much with the, music and all that stuff. When I was a kid,
Yeah.
you didn't have all that kind of stuff. You have so many distractions out there now.
A
And
whole
then as
world.
we get older and older, we trade them out for things that are either more numbing, drugs, alcohol, or more stimulating, sex.
Mm.
And if I say sex is like the mother of all distraction,
Yeah.
and that's how you wind up getting started and getting hooked on it. And it's all done for one reason: protect ourselves. We're trying to protect ourselves from having to sit with the emotional anguish that we have and we don't know what to do with it.
And for a lot of guys who are unfamiliar with this, referring to an addiction like pornography as a protection, right, can seem really foreign. It's like a protection. So me acting out with sexual pleasure, right? So I've thought the issue is lust, right? Okay, the issue is not lust, it's distraction. Okay, and the distraction is a protection from the pain that I'm going through,
Right. But
right?
that's the main problem. It is
Mm,
emotional discomfort or emotional distress. Boredom is a form of emotional discomfort.
mm,
It can
mhm,
be,
mhm,
but
mhm.
not in all cases, but it can be. So therefore, that is what we've learned to not sit with. When no one taught us in all the things they're supposed to teach us about how to be emotionally attuned, one of the things they're supposed to teach us is, what do you do when you're hurting emotionally? What are you supposed to do? And how to regulate yourself, how to be able to process through it, how to come to understand, oh, this isn't the end of the world. But back then, a lot of that stuff seemed like this is the end of the world, okay, for us.
Yeah,
And so without that regulation, we just run. We put our head down and we're running through life. And that's what we've always done. And so now, as you get into your adult world, and things are a little tense, things are a little uneasy, things are maybe too exciting,
right.
we're running for relief.
Yes, exactly. And so, I want Eddie, I want you to tell people a bit about your story again, because we're talking about why men struggle to love. And so we're talking about emotional regulation, being able to feel pain. Um,
Yeah.
I want you to talk a bit about your story, especially with relevance to what's given you so much passion for this topic and what experiences did you have with it and kind of where did that lead you to?
Right. Okay. So I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. My issues all started. I was 5 years old, and my father died suddenly of a heart attack one night. Um, my mother, she was one of seven sisters, so she called several of her sisters, because there were four of us, two older girls, myself, and my brother, who was just an infant. He was only, I think, about 6 months old. And they came and took us in the night back to their place. I wake up the next day, I'm in this apartment with this family, and I don't remember this aunt. I don't remember any of these people. And I'm like, where am I? And all I'm told is, your mommy and daddy are sick and you're going to be staying with us for a while. Well, my mother had a nervous breakdown, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. Here she had this little baby. She has all these kids. What am I going to do? And so I stayed there for a year.
Oh, wow.
So my attachment was ripped apart. I don't know this. I go back home. So now I go home. I have two older sisters who are now designated to watch me. My little brother, who I can't even recall until he's like maybe 4 years old. So I don't know where he is most of the time. My mother has to go off to work because it's the mid 60s. Okay. She's not getting a lot of money from Social Security based from her father's death. So she had to go work two jobs. So she's gone a lot. And she was also rather sickly. She had a very hypertension. She was a very thin, petite woman, but she was very ill. So even when she came home, she was bedridden a lot. So my exposure was basically to my two older sisters, they were very nice. They weren't abusive in any way, but teenage girls don't really want to watch a 6-year-old boy. Okay. So therefore, it's
Yeah.
like, go to your room, go to your room, go to your room. And like I said, didn't grow up in the age of having a stereo or a TV or anything in my room. I had a couple games. We lived in a city, so I couldn't go outside. So I don't wind up having a friend till we move when I'm about 10 years old. And we move out of the city. That's when I make a
Oh,
friend.
oh my
And
God.
then my mother remarried when I'm 11, and he was a kind of an ignorant man, didn't have much of an education. He was abusive. He wasn't physically abusive. He was more emotionally and verbal abusive to you, wanted to kind of cut you down to his level. I mean, he was very insecure about himself. Again, I don't know that at that age.
Right.
So
You just know, I mean, at that
you-
time, what's your
I'll be in the
interpretation?
cast. My interpretation is, oh, there's something wrong with me. Oh, look
Right.
at you. You're not as strong as other boys, or you hang around with the girls and do this. And so therefore that took me down a path of, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go work out, I'm gonna be tough, I'm gonna be rough. Nobody's gonna make me cry. Nobody's gonna
Right.
make me cry. Nothing's gonna make me cry. And that's the path I took.
Mm.
So fast forward, I start dating when I'm about 16. And all of a sudden, like having one girlfriend isn't enough. Oh, she's cute. Oh, she thinks I'm cute too. Boom. Oh, look at her. Boom. And I started being a womanizer.
Mm.
My friend did not help the situation. Oh, look at him. He's the player. Look at him. How cool. You know, they just added. That was like the label I wore. And that continued.
So you
And
thought
then
it gave you, it gave you some sense of identity,
and plus it made me
right?
very manly,
Right.
very
Right.
manly.
The illusion of the masculinity that
Yeah, the macho
right.
guy in a way.
Mhm. Right.
Um, all 5'7", 160 pounds of me. Right?
Right.
And
Sure.
and so then I met a woman and I'm like, wow, she's special. And I got married. And we got married. We were married for a couple of years. And then she started experiencing depression. And I'm like, what's going on? She didn't want to go anywhere. She didn't want to do anything. I said, and let me help you. I'll do your laundry. No, don't touch my clothes. You can't touch my clothes. It was like really bad. And I'm like, I don't know how to handle this.
Right.
I don't know what to do with it.
Yes.
And I only figured this out a couple years ago. What was that like? That was like the little boy whose mother was always sick and you didn't have access to do the things you wanted to do with her. And that's what it seemed here. And bless you. And so what I did was I sorted outside and I started to, again, look for other women, not realizing that's what it was.
Right.
And finally got caught and
Mm.
did a little work. And I was like, you know what? I can't do this. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong. I don't know what it is. So we got divorced
Mm.
and continued my life.
So
Couple,
painful. So
it is
painful.
very painful.
Yeah.
Got married again. Thought this was the one. Didn't happen. Did it again. And then finally, after that, I said, I got to go get help. And
Right. You
that,
kinda ask yourself, what's the common denominator here?
right.
Was it that kinda thought process?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's 30 years. That was 30 years ago. They didn't have everything that we have today. All right. A
Right.
lot of my healing came through faith, through really developing a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's where I didn't really have it.
Right.
And then it was 28 years ago, I met my current wife and I've been faithful the entire time with her. And it's been an amazing relationship because I learned about me. So how did I get here? Because I was in corporate America for many, many years. I was in the marketing and advertising world, mostly in pharmaceutical. And as I built my relationship with God in this last marriage here, he came and said, "Hey, guess what? I got something else for you." And I'm like, "I don't want anything else." Because
You're
I
like,
know
I'm
I got
I'm
some.
I'm good. I got
Yeah,
things are working out great. I got this good
yeah,
woman, I got
no.
this good career.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I got something else for you. Dude, you're
Mm.
gonna be a Christian counselor. I go, "I don't even know what a Christian counselor is." Dude, what are you talking about? You want me to be a Christian counselor? You're gonna be one. So I fought him for a little while. My wife had a fall. And then I went and I did the work. I went back to school, got another master's degree, did all the state work to be licensed, did all the supervision. And now I'm almost 50 years old, okay, at that point.
Right.
And did all of that. And I go, all right, I'm going to be a Christian counselor. I open up my own practice, and here come these people. And here's a little depression, here's a little anxiety. And then all of a sudden, they start flocking in. All these men who are struggling with problematic sexual behavior. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what he wants me to do.
Mm,
And since then, this is what we got today.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a
Amazing.
vibrant, blessed practice, sick books, speaking engagements, all that. All that, again, it's all him, not me. It's him. I'm just the vessel.
Right.
I'm
I
just
love
the
that.
vessel.
Well, it's the that humility and that openness, Eddie, that puts you in a space to be able to grow and to do this work. And I love that. I
You
love
may have
that.
you may have to talk to my wife about the humility thing, because every that pride still is my number one sin that I have to combat it a great deal to
Well,
continue
look.
to give him the credit.
Oh man, look, Eddie. It makes me think of myself, where people will tell me, Jake, you're just so like. Do you ever get angry, Jake? Do you ever get mad? You just seem so calm and even keeled. And I'll tell them, my friend, anger has been the number one issue in my life. And they're like, no, they don't believe me. No, it
Uh,
hasn't. Like,
right.
you don't, you don't know, right? And everybody's got their things that they
They
deal with.
do.
Yeah, yeah.
But that again, that's the pathway, Jake, of sanctification that you're on, that I'm on, that all of us are on, or should be
Mm,
on, where we're just trying to shed away one ugly scale at a time. And by the time we get to Judgment Day, we'll still have some ugly scale, because we
mm,
will not be Christ-like. But
right.
at least we could say, you know what? I finished strong, because that's what my mission's been for the last 30 years, to
Mhm,
finish strong.
mhm. I love that.
And
I love that.
I get a chance to do it in helping people
Yeah,
for him and his
yeah.
kingdom. That's amazing.
So good, so good. And your story, if I may briefly, makes me think of mine too. I think this is so often kind of the pattern that I see with some people who start businesses or ministries or these things, where you're on a path, things are going pretty well. You have your own ideas, right? I remember I I tried to start my own gig, right, helping guys with porn addiction, and it
Mhm.
didn't really go well, and it was really difficult, and didn't I created these online courses, and it was just like crickets for the most part, and I was like, "You know what? I'm just done. I'm gonna quit all this." And I remember, I just kinda just got rid of everything that I had, and I still had my podcast, right? And I was about to click the button to just be done with the Buzzsprout subscription that, publishes to everything.
Yeah.
And I remember I had this, it's one of the most distinct feelings I've ever had. Do not do this. Do not push that button. Do not get rid of the subscription. You have to keep doing this podcast. And I remember I just paced the room for like 2 hours, and I was like, by the end, I was like, fine. Okay, fine. I will keep the podcast. I will do the freaking podcast. And it was probably about a year later, still doing that podcast, when I opened up, under No More Desire, a new name, and
Right.
started taking clients and everything. And it expanded into, something that's my full-time gig. And I love it.
Right.
And it's like, oh my gosh. But all the fear, all the resistance, all those things that you go through, and you're saying, I have my plan, the way I'm going to do it. And
Yep.
now it's like, yeah, but I've got a better one. It's going to be
Right.
uncomfortable, though.
I mean, those were things you were talking about. I remember at those same conversations. It's like, I don't think you really understand what you're doing here. Okay. I mean, look at me. I am financially successful. I have all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And my wife was she was howling. She was howling. And she'd say to me, she goes, you know how this is going to end, right? I go, yeah, I'm probably gonna get hit by lightning. That's probably what's gonna.
Oh my gosh. It actually makes me think of, recently in my church, we've been reading in Exodus, and it makes me think of Moses, where
Yeah.
he first meets God in the burning bush. And, God is like, hey, you're going to go save all these Israelites from Egypt. That's what I want you to do. And Moses is like, are you sure? Me? Because
Yeah.
I don't even speak very well. Like I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy.
Hell, take Aaron with you.
Right. Yeah, take Aaron with you. Exactly. He's like, well, because I love how God responds like, dude, I will give you the gifts. I will bless you. And Moses is still like, I don't think. He's like, okay, take Aaron with you. Okay. You'll have his help. And then Moses becomes obviously one of the greatest prophets of all time.
He does.
Right? If not the.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you one thing I did. I can't even believe I'm telling it. When I finally broke down and said, okay, fine, I'll do this. I'm going to do this. I go, but I have one thing of you. I've got to have one thing of you. You will not make me a good counselor. You will make me a great counselor. And what I mean by that is not that what I mean by that is that you will give me the energy that I need to be able to continue to gain the insight that I need to have the wisdom to be able to deliver to these people what you want me to deliver. That's what I need from you. Now, I don't know if I'm a great counselor or not, but I remember I told my wife, and she said, bargaining, just keep bargaining.
So good, man. Quick pause here. If you've been struggling to quit porn, my friend, I'm here to tell you that you're not a bad person. You're not a bad husband. You're not simply selfish or perverted. These are lies that you're told. You can overcome porn addiction for good, but this does not come through just fighting cravings, staying busy, attending support groups, or just being more disciplined. The secret is this, and it's not that secret. Your addiction to porn is a symptom of other key factors of your mindset and lifestyle. And by building a recovery ecosystem in your life, you can eventually lose the need for porn. Let me tell you a little bit about this. I work with guys in groups and one-on-one. I give them an ecosystem for recovery found through courses, community, and coaching. I call this intensive recovery. I teach men step-by-step methods to process difficult emotions, how to relate to and respond to cravings without fighting, without panicking. I use IFS, CBT, mindfulness, and nervous system balancing practices to help guys regulate emotion. Then I also teach lifestyle changes that increase dopamine, transform relationships, and build daily routines and habits that support recovery. And this is not just information. We apply all of it through hands-on exercises in a structured program. Overcoming porn may feel impossible, I get that, but building good habits that eventually remove it from the picture is possible. If you want to learn more, head to nomordesire.com/coaching. You'll find links to the academy and group coaching there, as well as a link to learn more about the one-on-one program and set up a free discovery call. I'd love to see you there, my friend. Back to the show. Well, Eddie, I want to ask you this question and dive deeper into this topic of why men struggle to love, and talking about emotional IQ, actually emotional intelligence. So I'm actually going to read. I was looking at the description of your book and things, and really found something that was very pointed that I think a lot of men can relate to, and that I think of the first 8 years of my marriage, especially when I read it, I was like, yeah, all me, all things that I was, right, and still things that I'm practicing overcoming. But I want to actually read this. So many men who struggle with porn and sex addiction struggle to feel deeper emotion, right? And love as fully as they would like to, or in ways that their loved ones need. So this quick passage, okay, it says many men have a low emotional IQ, right? And this is especially true for those who deal with addictive behaviors. A low emotional IQ prevents men from really powerful things here: bonding with others, understanding what they feel, expressing their emotions, dealing with others' emotions, engaging in social settings, and knowing what to say, right?
Mhm.
So again, I know these are all things that I struggled with heavily throughout my teenage years and my 20s,
Mhm.
and things that I've been practicing, working through, and overcoming. And so you say that many men don't have the skills or the resources to develop that greater emotional maturity. What skills or resources do you think we're lacking in current Western society, or maybe in the world in general? And what do we need to be working on and
It
practicing?
Yeah, the skills are out there. There are many people who do have the skill. When it comes to people who get marred in the addiction world, and I'm talking about all addictions, okay, whether they are substance or whether they be behavioral addiction, a large majority of them, at least from my perspective and in my practice, because I also worked with substance at one point when I was doing all my residential work and things like that. And
You said you worked with what again?
with people in the
Oh,
substance addiction.
substance addiction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And about 90% struggle with having an emotional IQ. They
Right.
don't have it. It's
Right.
there. And that's
Mhm.
because there were problems at the family of origin. And like I said, we're just kicking the can down the road with that.
Mhm. Mhm.
When it
Mhm.
comes to, okay, what do we be able to do from a skill perspective? People need to learn, and I think first and foremost, is the idea of just learning to slow everything down.
Mhm.
We are in such a rush, we're in such a haste that we don't take the time to understand what are the wants and the desires and needs of those around us. We are very inwardly focused. We talked about that a moment ago. We're very inwardly focused. And the reason we turned inwardly focused, because we felt there wasn't anyone there who could help us to deal with our emotions. So we took it upon ourselves. I don't need anyone to help me with this. I don't need it. I'll do it all myself. But when you do that, you become very self-absorbed, maybe not selfish. You might give people things, you might give your time, things like that. Not selfish, but self-absorbed in the sense that I can't make a lot of time for what maybe the wants, needs, and desires of other people are. Unless maybe they come to me and ask me directly, but I can't pick it up. I don't know. Oh, you're crying, you're upset. Oh, well, I hope that works out for you and move on. Because if I try to engage with you, and what if you start sharing your emotions with me?
I
I,
don't even know how to handle
uh,
that. Right. What?
right, right.
Right.
Like,
I
oh,
can't make room for
poor guy.
my own painful
Right,
emotions. How can I do
correct.
it for somebody
So
else?
once
Right.
again, it is self-protection. It's all about protection. So we need to slow things down and to understand that the people around us do have wants, needs, and desires. The other thing we need to do is start to go back and tackle some of the core emotional issues that we dealt with in that family of origin.
Mm.
Okay, where did we get the message? Again, whether it was directly or indirectly, that emotions are not really healthy, that emotions actually can be unsafe if I share them or I take them on. So what do I do with them? Where did that develop? Where did it come from? Because what we're going to find out as we go through the process, and again, it might be a very valid reason. For example, a single mom has 3 kids. One of them deals with a disability. She had to throw almost all her effort into that child. And so therefore you come with someone, come on, you know what? You know how to handle it. You can deal with that on your own. I really can't. And again, mom's not a bad person. It's just the circumstances. And for you now to see that with clarity versus mom was rejecting me. No, mom wasn't rejecting you. process through it, but process through the hurt and the pain of the rejection. But
Mm.
what would mom really, this is what it goes to with my inner child work, what I feel versus what is real. Okay. What I feel, I felt rejected because mom was always with Tim because Tim, needed so much care. I felt rejected. I felt unseen. I felt unheard. Okay. All right. What was reality? Well, reality was that my brother really needed a lot of care and taken care of. Reality was that my mother was highly stressed with all of this going on. The reality is that, you know what? She did make some time every once in a while just to walk up to me and give me a hug. And so we factor all those things in. And this way, then we can make the determination. Because see, when we're trying to figure out what is real, we have to get rid of everything that's an assumption. We have to get rid of everything that's an internal lie that we believe about ourselves. And we have to get rid of all the fear. One of the fears might have been, oh, mom loves Tim more than me. Fine, that's an
Mhm.
assumption, and two was a fear. You got to get rid of them. So what are you left with? Well, left with the fact that my mother had to raise a disabled child with two others, and she was overwhelmed. But I know she loved me because she told me it several times.
Yeah.
Wow, I could have some compassion there. Okay, now look at the wife and look at the struggle she's going through. You think maybe you can have the same kind of compassion for her? And so therefore, that's what tried to take us down that road. And I'm simplifying it right now for these purposes, and there's a lot more that's involved in it. But that's what we're trying to do with teaching people how to love one another.
Yeah. And
You
if
gotta
I'm
you gotta get rid of you gotta get rid of all I'm sorry, you have to get rid of all the negativity. You gotta
Mhm.
get rid of all the lies, all the things that you're believing that are not true, and most important of all of them is the fear.
Mm.
It's the fear. And I'm not telling you to get rid of the fear. That would be stupid to tell you to get rid of fear. But hold on to the fears you have, that I will be rejected, that I will be belittled, that I will be unseen. Instead, hold on to the fear and move forward despite the fear.
Mhm. Mhm.
Take a chance. Take a risk. Oh my God, my kid's screaming right now. What are you talking about? Take a risk. We're not taking any risk. I'm going back in the corner. Come with me over here. All right? No, no, we have to take some risk. And that does mean that sometimes when you go to seek validation from someone, you might not get it back. That may happen.
Mhm.
But that shouldn't preclude you from doing to someone else. You see it, especially like in junior high, probably the most difficult time for most kids, right? Because they're the popular kid, the kids who are just alienated, and then there's everybody else who's just muddling around they're like the nomads in the desert that Moses is leading them around, right? And,
Right.
and what happened, one of the biggest complaints you see about kids, or you hear from kids from back then was, oh, nobody accepted me. Nobody, wanted me to be my friend. You ask them, how often did you look? Tell me, how much of an effort did you make to make friends in middle school? Uh, I didn't. No, that's right, you didn't. Why didn't you? Well, I was gonna be rejected. Yes, the assumption that you made. So therefore, you kept yourself out. You didn't put yourself out there. And if you did put yourself out there once or twice and got rejected, that pulled you all the way in. You didn't try again. And sometimes you have to look under every rock to try to find your group and where you belong, because you would have belonged. But therefore,
Mhm.
don't allow that fear today to keep you from not belonging and expanding your network of people, because it's all about relationships. That's what life is
Mhm.
about.
See, and it's so interesting you say that too, Eddie. I think of my own life, my own story where when I was when I was in high school, I dealt with so much social anxiety, right? Just this crippling fear consistently of needing to portray a certain image and wanting people to like me and all this perfectionism about how I needed to behave and, what I needed to kind of the air I needed to put off and look cool and everything and fit in. And it's interesting because as I've reflected on it many years later, I had all these acquaintances and all these friends, people who liked me. I think in some ways I was kind of one of the hinge points to like several groups that were coming together. And then I feel like in a way that was unconscious, I really sabotaged that because of how much I feared, as you talked about, feared what people thought, feared showing up. It was this constant pressure all the time. I have to be the one that, I carried all this weight of needing to be the center of people's happiness in a lot of ways, right? And I got into smoking weed and drugs and drinking in the party scene and everything. And then all those friends, they all disbanded, they all left and they all went on their own, and I was left with this small group, right? And I remember my senior year, it was just me and like 4 other people I hung out with by the end. And I've grieved that, right? It's like, oh my gosh, like look what I was a part of and the people I got to spend time with. And I just wonder how much of that was my own just feeling like, well, this is what I have to do to fit in, right? But also cutting myself off to more relationships and more of the joy that I could have had ultimately.
Yeah, there could have been many factors that were involved in again, going back to looking at, again, the family of origin and what was going on. It could have been maybe a bit of a rebellious period for you.
Oh yeah,
That
totally.
you didn't want to have to deal with the pressure of fitting in and being perfect with everybody else. But instead, I'm going to go over here. Well, the rest of these folks were like, no, we like the Jake who's doing that. We don't like that Jake. So now they cut you off also with that. But again, this goes back to the idea of, again, we are so oblivious to understanding how and why we think, feel, and do the things we do. If we knew this, if we understood, if we had that self-reflection or perspective, oh my gosh, how different everything would be.
Right.
So different.
And one of the things I really just harp on over and over with clients is taking time for emotional work, whether that be journaling or it be parts work or it be meditation or prayer. You just need a way of confessing emotions, talking about the hard stuff. Why is it hard? Right? What am I learning? What did I learn from the hard thing? And talking about the happy stuff too, and taking that time. And how many of us who struggle with addiction do not take that time at all, right? They're like, oh, I've never journaled a day in my life. Well, okay, it's time to start doing some emotional journaling so you can take that time to really work for. I can't, and I'm sure this is the same for you. I can't count the number of times I've been told, I'm just not really an emotions guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Right.
Well, in order to get sober, we're going to help you become an emotions guy. And they're like, okay, like, I promise you're going to love it eventually.
Well, I also tell them, but I'm not going to get you to a point where you're going to wear your emotions on your sleeve. So don't worry about that. That's not going to happen. But then I always try to tell people, if you're on this end of the spectrum where you're like at 10%, all right, you're not going up to 80 or 90. You're not
But
going.
maybe 40 would be great.
Like 40 is good. 40 is better than great. 40 is amazing. And then you just keep going, keep building upon it for the rest of your life.
Right.
That's all. And believe me, your partner, your spouse, your girlfriend, whoever, they will love it. They'll love seeing that kind of a change.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. So let's talk about this, Eddie. When it comes to kind of, and this sounds a little bit harsh, but when we have a low emotional IQ, I want to discuss kind of what that looks like from a behavioral perspective, how we tend to interact, or some of our habits. Let's talk about what that looks like for guys.
For the major one, the one that probably most partners are going to be upset about is the lack of attunement that we have. We're not able to really kind of read people. We're not good at, okay, what do we do in this scenario? What do I do in this situation? She's sitting there, she's talking to me, and she's upset. And now all of a sudden she's crying. And I've seen how many guys in my practice, if I did a couple session, and she cried, and here's a box of tissue right next to him, and he does not pick up the box and give her to her. He sits there and makes her wipe her nose on her sleeve. He doesn't even think, oh, let me do that. That's what we mean by that lack of attunement. They just, the cues, picking up the cues. So normally, and what I'll do is she's crying and she has her head turned, and I'll point to him. I go, pick it up and give it to her. So now I just rattled out a bunch of guys. If any of my wives are listening now. But it's those types of things. It's like, she says something to you and she's looking for a response, and you're like, and the problem is what's happened, you become emotionally dysregulated and you're fearful and you're really kind of panicking, even though you're kind of like this, because you don't know, am I supposed to respond? How am I supposed to respond?
Right.
What will be the right way to do it? What will be the wrong way to do it?
Right.
So
now you're lost in this whole.
Right. That's what's going on in your head.
Mm-hmm.
That's going on in your head. And she continued and she starts again. But you're still focused on, what am I supposed to do with that last thing that just happened? And she's continuing to go, and you're just like a deer in headlights.
Right. And tell me about this, Eddie. One of the things that I see a lot is the inclination to try to fix or control the emotions.
Yes. Right.
Right.
Well, that's all part of when we look at the thing. Remember I told you about protection? We're trying to protect ourselves. Well, how do we protect ourselves? There's many ways you could protect yourself. One, I could become very big and aggressive, try to shut it down. I could go and withdraw. I'm shutting it down. Okay. You don't have to feel that way. I can minimize it. There's nothing to feel. You don't have to worry about that. It's going to be fine. What am I doing? I'm trying to shut it down. Oh, I know how that could be better. I know what you could do. You are trying to shut it down. That is the point of all. And I just gave you 4 examples of ways to do it. There's probably another half a dozen that you can use. But we develop those and we use them. And then the people that we're with, they don't feel heard. And it's like, but I just told you something. I just said something. What do you mean you don't feel like heard? I addressed you. No, you addressed what's going to make you feel better, not what's going to make me feel better. I just went through that with a client yesterday where he, answered her and she was there. And I said to him, I go, well, that was about you, not her. And she's like, thank you. Did you hear that? You heard that, right? What he said.
Right. I have to, because I find it so relatable. Again, the first 8 years of my marriage, it's just like, that's the nonstop story, right?
Yeah.
The nonstop story is, just that. Oh, and the strange thing is, and what I've seen a lot is, I really thought I was trying to help my wife feel better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because you were oblivious to how to
Right. And moving to a place of presence for her emotions, openness to her emotions, giving space for her to fully feel the emotions and not need to fix them, and to provide support and understanding. Yes. I could be told to do all those things, but I didn't understand how to do it.
Right. And so therefore they're not really sincere. If you have to be programmed if you have to be scripted. And that's where a lot of women today in the recovery world, when guys start coming at them with the affirmations or the validation statement, and they're like, you're reading from a script. You're
Right.
reading from a script. And
Right.
that's why I say to guys, I go, it needs to come from the heart. And that's why what you have to really do is to be able, let's go back for a moment. Let's go back to the question was, what are some of the techniques we need to do to learn to be emotional beings? First one goes back to what we talked about way back in the beginning, emotional regulation. And you can't wait till you get in the trenches to start to emotionally regulate. You have to practice it. Just like you said, where's the journaling you do? Where's that? Every day, I ask my client every day, 3 times a day, take 10 to 15 minutes and practice emotional regulation techniques. Yeah, but wait a second, I feel okay right now. I go, yeah, you feel okay. You're never okay, but you feel okay. All right. We all do, but we're never fully okay. Promise. I promise you. Right. So,
It's true, so true.
it is true. We feel good, but we're really not good. So therefore, okay, I'm going to do this. How do I feel? How do I feel? Okay. All right, fine. Go with that. Right. So you do your technique. Okay. What do I feel now? Wow. I do feel more relaxed. I don't feel like I have as many racing thoughts as I did a little while ago. See, I want them to understand what's happened is they've gotten closer to the window of tolerance. And I want them to understand what it's like when they're in that window of tolerance. Because this way, then when they're in the trenches and they're having the conversation with their wife, and we want to lean in, and we want to lean in, and what we always want to do is look for what is her pain point. Because if you don't focus on what her pain point is, you know what you're going to wind up focusing on? Your pain point.
Mm.
Oh my God, I can't believe she's talking to me this way. This is hard, but when is this ever going to end? You know what? It's never. She's always condemning me. I don't think she likes me at all. I think our marriage is going to be, it's going to be all you. You have to lean in to find out what is the pain point. For example, right? You come home from work, walk in the door. Hey, how you doing? And she's like, why are you here? Coach, well, because I live here. You were supposed to call. Oh, damn. You're right. I'm supposed to call before I leave the office. I forgot to call. I'm sorry. When I was leaving the office, somebody called me. I had to get on the call. It was a client. I just got off it when I pulled in the driveway. Excuses. You're always giving me a good, well, I've been calling every day for the last 6 months since you put that boundary out there, right? Blah, 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 blah. Now, he could stay there focused on, and he could say, what's the pain point? The pain point he would think is, I didn't call. That's not
Right.
the pain. That's not the pain point. It's
Right.
not the pain point. You know what the pain point is? You lied. You told me you were going. You promised. You broke a promise. You said you were going to call every day before you left. You could have told that guy, I need 1 minute. I'll be right back. And you didn't. You put him before me. And now she may not even know what the real pain point is at that moment. She may stay on that conversation. But if he can move away from that conversation and say, you know what? I broke a promise to you. I lied to you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. She would fall over. He'd have to resuscitate her. Okay? But
Right.
that's what we need to do. And that's part of being an emotional being, having a high emotional IQ.
Because the common kinds of responses, right? And I can get into these too, right? And I really need to be careful and cognizant and practice. Defense, over explaining, making
Yes.
excuses, minimizing. Well, it's just one day. I mean, it's not a big deal, right? Like I just didn't call today. I've called like every day for the last 3 weeks. So why are you making a big deal about this? Oh, now we're in a fight for the next half an hour, and now we're mad at each other for 5 days, right? And it's Oh my gosh.
And why? Why, Jay? Let's use the word again. Protecting.
Right.
I'm trying to protect myself
Right.
versus, oh, she's in pain.
Mm.
See that? If guys learn that, when I teach my emotional regulation and emotional attunement group, the thing I teach the men both is focus on the pain point. If you do that, things will be very, very smooth.
Mm. So good. So powerful. Well, thank you, Dr. Eddie, for sharing. So great to have you here, man. I love it. I think this will be a very helpful conversation for so many people. If people want to find you, they want to work with you, where should they go?
They can reach me at innerchildmodel@gmail.com. Again, innerchildmodel@gmail.com. And I would love to offer them, I have a list of 22 different emotional regulation techniques. I'd love to give them a copy of it. It also includes 10 different pressure points if they want to use that to help them along the way. But thank you so much for having me here. I got to tell you, this is one of the most enjoyable interviews I've done. I don't know how many, way too many. Some of them are, oh, I wish I never did those. But this was amazing, and thank you. Especially if I don't feel so good. I'm sure you can hear my voice really starting to crack as we get
No.
to the end. So, but thanks,
Yes.
Jay. You're wonderful.
Yes. Thank you. Even despite your cold, you're a champ for being here. And again, thank you so much. And we'll put some links in the show notes for people if they want to get those emotional regulation tools. I think that's
Great.
awesome. So
Great. God bless
thank
you,
you.
my friend.
You too, my friend.
Thanks for listening to No More Desire. It's a genuine blessing for me to do the work that I do, and I wouldn't be able to do it without you, my listeners, so thank you. If you've enjoyed today's episode, do me a favor. Follow this podcast, hit the notification bell, and shoot me a rating. The more people who do this, the more men this podcast will reach. So take a few minutes of your time and hit those buttons. And if you want to take your sobriety to the next level, check out my free workshop, The 8 Keys to Lose Your Desire for Porn, or my free ebook, The 10 Tools to Conquer Cravings. These are specialized pieces of content that will give you practical exercises and applied solutions to overcome porn addiction. And you can find them at nomordesire.com. As a listener of the No More Desire podcast, you are part of a worldwide movement of men who are breaking free of porn to live more impactful, meaningful, and selfless lives. So keep learning, keep growing, and keep building that recovery mindset and lifestyle. God bless. Everything expressed on the No More Desire podcast are the opinions of the host and participants and is for informational and educational purposes only. This podcast should not be considered mental health therapy or as a substitute thereof. It is strongly recommended that you seek out the clinical guidance of a qualified mental health professional. If you're experiencing thoughts of suicide, self-harm, or a desire to harm others, please dial 911 or go to your nearest emergency room.